I would like to begin by asking you a very straightforward question. You have demonstrated genuine interest in China's development model, its path. You wrote articles and sold bestsellers on China. You also taught in various universities in the country. What, in your opinion, made the China story so appealing and interesting?
I consider China to be the greatest economic success in the history of the mankind. Never ever in such a short period of time, just one generation, so many people, standard of living was upgraded so much. Therefore, whoever is interested in development, social changes and advances must take a look into China and try to understand what's going on there, why, and are there any lessons for other parts of our volatile world.
Right. From an economist's perspective, what are the most striking features in China's developments over the past, let's say, 10 years?
I'm very much impressed by the way the Chinese authorities, following the great contribution of the late Deng Xiaoping, were able to combine the power of invisible hand of market with the very visible hand of government. This is the fine art of macroeconomic management and social economic policy of development. There is also a process of permanent experiment. So one may say that Chinese changes of the last 3-4 decades are the greatest social and economic experiment in the history of the mankind. So it is not only the case of 1.4 billion people in China, but it is followed with great attention by many other countries.
I want to move on, Professor Kołodko, and talk about globalization. As we know, globalization has been facing a major backlash in the past decade or so, and really got a bad name. In your book, China and the Future of Globalization, you blamed new nationalism and populism. What do you mean by new nationalism?
You may see it very clearly over the last 3-4 decades in the United States and elsewhere that labor productivity is growing, but income of very many people is not growing because the cream from economic advancement is being taken off by the financial and political and business elites, so inequality are growing. And now the social answer, people are getting angry. They go to the streets, they demonstrate, etc. So this anger has changed into populism. And now we are looking for an answer. So the countries like, say, Indonesia or Tanzania or Brazil, they are taking a look into China. Why China is successful? This is not Western type liberal democracy with the priority to whatsoever to private property and commercialization of everything, healthcare, education, even security. This is the hybrid economic and political system which I called Chinism.
It is very interesting. How would you define Chinism? You wrote a book about it.
If one is taking a closer, deep, comprehensive look into the social, political, and economic structure in culture of the people, the business culture, one sees that it is, in my opinion, not anymore a socialism, and definitely not yet, and maybe never, capitalism. So this alternative, black and white, A or B, is just a wrong approach. This is the new, another quality. I nickname Chinism, meritocracy-based combination of power of government regulation and power of market spontaneity. Each and every country has to answer the question how to combine the market regulation with the government intervention. And I think that China has proved over the years that it has managed to address this challenge much better than very many other countries.
Very interesting indeed. Finally, Professor Kołodko, you once wrote, and I quote, that China should not be feared, it should be counted on, but under the circumstances and at the age of the time that we live in right now, how receptive do you think the Western elites and the Western policymakers will be to your argument?
I stay with my claim. China should not be feared. China must be counted for. And this is a very short-sighted, unintelligent response of some leaders of the West, which are making China a foe, an enemy, which started the first trade war and now even a Cold War, because the march of China towards mighty is unstoppable. So there is no solution to very many global problems without cooperation with China. The business people, I think, all over the world, most of them, they are in favor of engagement in China because of the monumental market in China, because of Chinese technologies, know-how, business opportunities, and so on. But the political logic, if it is a logic, is a different one. China has emancipated already, and that is a great success, and that makes, unfortunately, some people in the West, ill-advised people, envy and angry. But this is also an example for developing countries.
Professor Grzegorz Kołodko, thank you so much for your perspectives.
Thank you. My pleasure.